Sorry, I was not feeling great yesterday, so this is a little video to finish off geomorphology. Alright, it's just loading there now. There's also an assignment with today's lesson. I'll go through it exactly what you need to do. So we can take this content, I know it has today's date and title, so you can head up using this information here. Okay, there's a couple of little quick notes to make, and then you can do that revision, those revision questions I'll show you at the end. Okay, I'll set this all in Plus Portal. I'll also later on tonight be putting up a little quiz. It's just multiple choice. Okay, that quiz will be on Plus Portal as well. Alright, very straightforward multiple choice questions, and that'll be due on Friday. Okay, so you've got till Friday to get that done for me. Alright, so I'll go through that in more detail in a little bit. There's your headings, alright, and we're going to look at how humans can influence. Sorry, change that. Shouldn't be topic review, should be humans and mass movement. Humans and mass movement. Okay. So, couple of things. First of all, human causes and methods to slow or stop movement, as we saw here, slow or stop mass movement. All right. We've already discussed some of these here. You've done some of this for homework as well, so that should be fairly straightforward. All right. A little bit more complicated then is methods to slow mass movement. So building these retaining walls. We talked about those on Bunnet page 56, okay, the last day. Improving drainage through soils. Remember, water is one of the major contributors or causes of mass movement. So if we can improve drainage where water runs out of the soil faster, that means it doesn't get as heavy and may not move. Plant vegetation, we're going to look at Bunnet page 57 about that in a moment, and wire nets to hold up different slopes. Alright, so let me just have a little look here, just some pictures of things we do to cause it. Obviously mining here, okay, we use explosives to mine things now. Building our roads, you can see these slopes here, just like in Nassau or New Providence. We've cut into the natural geology, the mountains, to build our roads nice and flat so they're easier to drive on. This will then increases the angle of slope and the pull of gravity, two factors again causing mass movement. Building on untested soils and stuff. Alright, so you can see the dramatic case just here, and then again in some parts of Europe, if you look up some of the Mediterranean islands, they build right into the side of cliffs here to be near the ocean. Alright, so you can see how outrageous those buildings are there. In terms of trying to manage or slow it down, then we can build these retaining walls. Okay, now they need to be immensely strong, and usually have to have huge foundations going underground to hold back all of this material. All right, again you can see here a very serious slope. If anyone's ever driven through any mountains, like again Europe is a very good example, the Alps. You got the mountain coming down here, we've cut a road into it, and then it comes straight down. So we've built this wall to hold back in all of the material. Also notice the pipe here, okay, so water will run freely down through this rock surface, and then we'll put lots of drainage in here to try and get the water out as quickly as possible. Alright. A lot of new slopes have this netting or wire mesh along the side that tries to hold stuff in place. Doesn't look great, but they usually plant vegetation as well, so you can see these two quite often work together. Okay, and on a larger scale into rocks as well, they have these massive metal rods stuck in or almost shot into the rock face, holding this very strong metal mesh and wire. Okay, that necessarily doesn't stop it. These are more to stop, okay, mass movement, whereas these are just to slow it down, or if it does happen, to contain it. All right. Now, that's all the content I want to go through. Very simple. In terms of your assignment, all right, at the bottom of this attachment that you've been sent before, I'll send it again as I post the assignment on Plus Portal. Okay, the last 3 pages, you got a couple of questions. Very simple stuff. Apologies. Compare the table, rate of movement, which are slow, which are fast, which is fastest. So you could say slowest, slower, slowest, slow, faster, fastest if you want. Explain 2 conditions necessary for each of the following: soil creep and landslide. You got your diagrams. Again, that'll be your factors of water, slope, angle of slope, and gravity. A little bit of text here. What mass movement is being described? Suggest 2 effects of this type of mass movement. Again, we just looked at Italy, that little case study. but you should be able to think of some impacts. All right. Explain 3 ways in which human activity has disrupted the soil stability, causing mass movement. So what things do we do to cause it? Explain 3. So say 1, say how it causes mass movement. Mention another one, say how it causes it. Okay, remember it's 6 marks. And one last 6 marker, describe 3 ways in which mass movement can be slowed by humans. Name it, how does it work? Name it, how does it work? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've gone through all those today. That's your assignment, those 3 pages. You can write them out in photo sheet. Make sure you head up properly, take photos, everything through Plus Portal, please. All right. Just before we finish this short video, I want to just look at one little paragraph of Bunnet because there's some important keywords. So I'm just going to pause for a second. And okay. So page 57, just a couple of things. Vegetation protects the slopes. Okay, now this is fairly straightforward. There's just a couple of keywords. And this last little bit down here. Now, the action of raindrops combined with surface flow of water can lead to the formation of gashes in the slopes. These gashes are called gullies, okay? Gashes, so it's like a channel, all right, where when there is rainfall or something like that, it'll take the material away from that little place, creating a little kind of gash or little slice going through the landscape called gullies, all right? The one part of that, okay. So first of all, they're called rills. All right, so little rills, and as the erosion and weathering increases, they get wider and deeper. These channels to be called gullies. Okay, so some of which become deepened and widened to form gullies. So you have rills leading on to gullies. All right, I've added a note up here saying essentially erosion by water. All right, skip it down to the next little bit. Gullies develop when slopes have no covering of vegetation, or when their vegetative cover has been removed or badly damaged. So that's what causes these. So it's exposed soil to water, and it gets carried away, okay, through different little channels, which are rills to start out with, little channels, then they get wider and deeper to become gullies. Right down here then, not only do plants protect the soil from the force of rain, but their roots bind soil particles, thereby giving the soil stability. So vegetation is also another one that can go as one of your answers. Planting veg can slow mass movement. Very simple. All right, so that's everything for yesterday and today's lesson. I'll be putting the quiz on later on Plus Portal. Okay, it won't be in a document, it'll be in the quiz tab. If there's any questions with that, just let me know, and that'll be due Friday. The past paper questions, if you could have them submitted to me by Thursday, and you can spend the time of today's lesson doing those. All right.